Our continuing coverage tonight, a local judge tossing a criminal case against one of the Black Lives Matter protesters who helped block northbound I-25 last summer. Perhaps the biggest question now, what will happen to the other people facing those same charges? Our Colette Bordelon live near Bijou and I-25, where traffic was stalled, as we recall, for about an hour that night at the end of June. Colette, you spoke with the woman. The charges were dropped against her. What'd she tell you?
Yeah, the judge ruled that her case was unconstitutional. He said those charges just too vague, meaning they could be implied or applied subjectively or even in a discriminatory fashion. But the DA's office plans on appealing that decision.
Cops did watch overhead on the bridge, but then never approached us or told us to disperse.
One of around 36 people who blocked I-25 during the George Floyd protests, Molly Avione, was cited for her actions more than 2 weeks after the fact.
On my ticket, it says obstruction of passageway.
That statute defines a passageway in many ways, including a highway, waterway, or stairway.
He said that that statute is unconstitutional as it is too vague.
He, being the judge, says the statute fails to provide fair notice on what conduct is allowed or not.
If it was a public safety issue, they would have approached us and gotten us off the road as soon as possible.
There are limits to freedom of speech.
The usual example is you have the right to free speech, but you don't have the right to walk into a crowded movie theater and holler fire.
But retired District Judge Dennis Mays says if the other people charged for blocking the highway that night are arguing the same facts as Avione's,
probably persuade them not to continue with the charges.
The 4th Judicial District plans to appeal the ruling.
It has nothing to do with whether we agree or disagree. We're in a position based on requirements through the state to move that case into a mandatory appeal.
If appealed, the case would go to district court, something Avione doesn't want to see happen.
I only hope that my dismissal will just bring a much speedier process to this of just dropping all their charges.
The rest of the more than a dozen cases related to blocking I-25 are still pending.
I talked with an attorney who's representing another person who was charged with the same misdemeanor for blocking I-25 that night last June. Now, she called this judge's decision rare but huge. She says it'll be a persuasive point as she argues for her client. We'll be waiting to see what happens. Always watching out for you, Colorado Springs. Colette Bordelon, News 5.
Colette, thanks for the